She broke glass ceilings in 2016 when she became the first woman ever to run a successful presidential campaign. Campaign manager, pollster, wife, and mom, Kellyanne Conway describes her life and Catholic faith in her new book, Here's the Deal, a memoir. Conway details her life from a young age, growing up with her mom, grandmother, and aunts in New Jersey, through the triumphs and hardships she faced while serving as senior counselor to former President Donald Trump. Plus, the one thing that has stuck with her through it all, her Catholic faith. And Kellyanne Conway joins us now. Kellyanne, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your book. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy. It's my pleasure.
You know, I'm reading it right now and I'm enjoying it so much. And you start out your memoir by writing about your childhood, being raised by 4 Italian Catholic women in South Jersey. How did your early experiences with your family and your faith help to shape who you are today?
Tracy, it was bedrock and fundamental and essential to my foundation. And it's something I draw on every single day, obviously. Being Catholic is part of who I am. And I really credit my mom and her mom and my mother's 3 sisters, 2 of whom were unmarried and lived in the house where I was raised, with instilling that in me in a young age, because we, from very young, were kneeling for the Lord and standing for the flag and never confusing the two. Also, our Catholic faith meant that our Sundays were spoken for. We said the rosary. We went to church to help out several times a week. It was just the central nervous system of our lives, as you will, our home, our Catholic church, and then the Catholic school. And I credit my mom, Diane, for giving me the experience and for making the tremendous sacrifice to put and to keep me in Catholic school. Sure, the tuition was modest by today's standards, but at the time it was probably a very steep financial sacrifice for her. But she decided, as a woman who unfortunately and against her, her desire, got divorced and had a child, that she wanted me to be in Catholic school. It was very important to her, and I'm so glad she did. I was in the same Catholic school from kindergarten through 12th grade. I go through that entire journey. Some of my best life lessons and certainly my closest friends in life were formed in St. Joseph's School in Little Hamilton, New Jersey. Look, I also want to say something else. People say, well, you must have grown up in a political family. I did not. In fact, I don't remember a single political conversation to speak of, Tracy, yet I was raised to be a conservative. But I do remember a lot of prayer and a lot of Jesus-centric and Catholic doctrine-centric lessons and conversations and Bible readings. And that is what's so sustaining. Looking back, it was so knitted into the fabric of the family of who we were. I didn't even notice it. It was always just there. It was just a part of who we were. It was understood.
Yeah, and you talk about that, you didn't come from a political family. So can you talk about, what put you on the path to politics, and also how your family life, your growing up and your faith, how it helped you, with a life in politics is not exactly easy for a woman or for family life.
No, it wasn't at all. Let me unpack that sequentially. First of all, speaking of Italian Catholic women, I was struck that Geraldine Ferraro, a congresswoman from Queens, had been put on the 1984 presidential ticket by Walter Mondale as his running mate. I got really excited, Tracy. I said, wow, an Italian Catholic woman. And this is just like the ones who are raising me. And I was assigned by the local paper to watch both conventions and write a little bit about both. So, of course, the Democrats' party out of power with President Reagan's reelection went first. And I listened to her. I was excited. I listened to her. She's a very nice person I met years later, God rest her soul. Then I listened to Ronald Reagan a week later. Here's a guy, not my gender, from a different coast, 4 times my age, literally, around that time. And yet he spoke to me. And I think part of it was he was embracing faith and limited government and individual responsibility, but also personal individual liberty, but also personal responsibility and overall accountability, peace through strength, respecting and resourcing our military, our veterans, our law enforcement, not denigrating and castigating and starving them of resources and respect. And so it really resonated with me, and I was hooked. And I think that political journey, my faith has always been a big piece of that. I'm very, very sad as to what has happened to the Democratic Party, because for years I had family members who were Democrats. I grew up around Democrats who I love, but they were union members, or they were school teachers, or they were Catholic Democrats, they were Irish Democrats, Italian Democrats. This is the way they would identify themselves. I'm a union Democrat, I'm a Catholic Democrat, I'm an Irish, Italian Democrat. But they can no longer say I'm a pro-life Democrat. There's exactly one left in the whole whole federal Congress, Henry Cuellar, and they're trying to defeat him. They already defeated Dan Lipinski last year. So this is now, the Democratic Party now is hostile toward religion. It has some high-level Catholic members like Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker, Joe Biden, the President, but hostile to religious liberty. I think more aligned with this secular, woke is a joke is broke mindset and set of rules, really looking at the hard left for their policy prescriptions. And it makes me sad because when I worked for President Trump, the religious liberty guidelines and a special representative in the EEOB to work on this, and then of course his unbelievable address to UNGA in 2019 to the United Nations General Assembly about religious liberty, really the first president in U.S. history to do it at that level, calling out the beheading of Coptic Christians, sticking up for Muslims who are being persecuted, obviously the persecution of Jewish people around the world, certainly the Uyghurs in China, and on and on and on. And so I really appreciated working for a president who had that front and center, because it's been a part of my faith journey, has been a part of my political journey, and vice versa.